This is becoming more and more of an issue, and it's one which is very difficult to address.
Yes, I think there's a real risk here that China could get old before it gets rich. And that's, I think, what's concerning the Communist Party. Japan is potentially on the same path, China is on the same path as Japan. China's birth rate fell below replacement in the early 90s, probably 2 decades after Japan's birth rate fell below that level. So they're following Japan probably 2 decades behind. And I think it's an issue for the Communist Party.
Now, you're suggesting that this worry and this issue has implications for not just socio, but also socioeconomic. And yep. the regulatory overhang that we're suffering from at the moment is also a product of this worry and this concern and a potential crisis.
I firmly believe it. I think when you look at some of the regulation that's been coming around gaming, video gaming in children, I think the party is worried about young people and this lay flat phenomena. And of course in Japan it was called hikikomori. And so the question is China facing a similar phenomena of youth who check out, don't want to get married, don't want to have babies, don't want to work? So I think some of the regulatory movement is to make family life easier. Education stocks. Was it getting too expensive to educate 2 children? It was expensive to educate 1. If we clamp down on it, might people be more inclined to have more kids? I think, though, it's going to be very difficult for them to turn this around. I think what they can potentially do is slow the decline. And as you said, for 2021, the first half data that we've gone through indicates that, if I can use the word print, China is going to print less than 10 million babies in 2021. COVID has made things worse, and the number could be even lower in 2022. So circling back, I think some of this regulatory move is about pro-family and clamping down on things that aren't pro-family.
It brings up then the issue of productivity, because I guess getting more bang for your buck, input-output, when you have that human capital and obviously what you get out. I mean, they're no longer an agricultural society, right? Yeah. So are we, I guess the question is, with technology, and who knows what technology we'll have in 10 years, are we underestimating the ability of technology to solve most of these problems?
Yeah, look, the world is split into those who think inflation is coming because of this, and those who think we continue in a disinflationary environment because of the disinflation, if you like, that China exported to the rest of the world. I think technology can continue to solve some of these problems, and definitely one of the findings from our report, one of the key takeaways from an investment thesis, is the robotics name should all catch a bid here in terms of rising order books, driven by COVID, employees not coming back to work, but also this demographic trend, which we think will continue.
And you don't have kids just in case this COVID pandemic continues. Yeah.
Well, the reason people aren't having kids during COVID is women can't get access to prenatal care. There's a debate around whether you can be pregnant and vaccinated at the same time. And there's a worry about people's jobs. And history shows whenever we get these recessionary shocks, women choose to have less kids. So that falling birth rate is something we're seeing all over the world, driven by COVID.
Apart from robotics, other potential winners?
Yes, absolutely. Healthcare. So this is not all bad news. Okay. Old is the new thing. I'm 55, and many of us are getting older. I think the older population is going to grow in China. They're going to spend. They're going to spend on luxury travel. They're going to spend on healthcare. So look at the dental stocks. Look at the eyewear stocks. Look at some of the healthcare stocks that are focused on aging issues like dementia, like hip replacements, knee replacements, etc. So those are the sectors that we think benefit. Of course, and we've seen this phenomenon in Western markets, of course, look at aged care homes. So I think you're going to see the emergence of that as an industry and a sector in China as well.
Does it become like Japan in terms of rates? Since you brought it up, I was going to ask it, but the Japanification of interest rates because of structural issues, including, of course, demographics.
Well, you could make the argument we're looking at the Japanification of the whole world. It's just a question of where you are on that timeline. Because when I look at falling birth rates everywhere, I think that's ultimately kind of where we go. So where Japan leads, I think the rest of the world follows.